Yeah, welcome to this series of webinars run by the Neurolab team, where trusted parenting experts offer practical advice on topics that matter to you. And I'm your host for today, Maddie. Our guest this morning is Dr. Deibby Mamahit, an autism and brain health consultant who has 4 kids of her own. When 2 of her kids were very young, they were diagnosed with autism and one of them with ADHD. She'll be sharing with us on the topic of nutritional support for the growing brain. So Dr. Deibby, thank you so much for being with us. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Have a wonderful morning. So happy to see everyone here. And I'm very happy to be able to share of what I learned these years on helping my children. I give you a little bit of a background. When I was learning medicine, we don't really learn very much about nutrition. But when my children got diagnosed with autism, that in the beginning, in the first few years, I also didn't really think very much about the correlation of their condition at that time with the supplements and the nutrition that we are having at home. Only after many years of trying to cope with what's available, like all the therapies available, and we didn't have any result, I started to look further and see what's actually available out there, what people do, and I start seeing there are a lot of functional practitioners all over the world that is using nutrition to help these children. I started learning about it. I went around the world to look for answer, and I went back to my own home to actually use it for my own children. So this the accumulation of my knowledge is something that I wanted to share with you. Of course, we don't have all the time in the world to talk about it, because if we really want to talk the whole entire compendium about nutrition, it will take courses of many years. But what I want to bring it to you is what's applicable, what's you have in your plate on your dining table every day, and what to choose from the things that you are buying from the supermarket, from the market, to give to your children. So I think that this is the most practical way of helping them from the comfort of your home. Okay, so I'm going to start. This first thing I wanted to ask any one of you is that, what do you think when you see our poster? Okay, so any parents that can answer this, I have a surprise gift. All right, anyone wants to raise their hand? Any comments on the poster that we have? Okay, I'm going to count to 5. If no one takes it, I'm going to explain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I think everyone is just newly waking up or very shy. Okay, Luis. Hi, Luis.
Oh, I actually muted everybody.
Oh, I see.
Yes, so they're using chat to respond to your questions.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Oh, we have 2 people raising hands. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm so sorry that I didn't know that you can't really speak, but can they be unmuted, no?
We can give them, but just avoid the noise. Give me a while.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I can just for this time only. Okay, Q&A.
Yes. Thank
okay,
you so much.
They can unmute themselves.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, they can unmute themselves.
Hi, Dr. Deibby, Louise here.
Hi, Louise. Thank you so much for raising your hand.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what you think?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of carbs, and then there's a process, and a lot of high in gluten food.
Yes.
Sweet as well, even though there's an orange juice there, but there's a high sugar as well. Even though they are very happy, but in the long run, I don't think it's gonna be good for their health. That's what I think. Thanks.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you so
No
much.
problem.
Let's hear from Lillian. What does Lillian think?
Unmute. Please unmute yourself. Oh, let me see. Let me try to ask.
Hi, Lillian.
Hi. Okay.
Thank you so much for raising your hand.
This food looks very delicious, and the children like it because is the things are very they like taste of fish, but is very unhealthy food. Like just now, the sister say is I see is contains a lot carb and sugars and the drink also, and this will too much sugar will damage the brain. And all these are I don't see there is much nutrition in boosting.
Thank you so much,
the
Lilian.
brain.
So I think that a lot of, thank you so much. So Lilian and Luis, you're going to have a gift. I'm going to pass it to Neurolab and Neurolab will contact you. Okay. I said, okay, Maddie. Is it okay, Regina?
Later, Lilian need to register our Google form to claim your prize.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
It will be supplements. Okay. All right.
Thanks, Debbie.
You're most
Yay.
welcome, dear. Okay, so now we're going to continue with our talk. The reason why I'm asking this, because why? We need to have the right kind of nutrition to support our brain. All right. We have this amazing brain that is so useful, that is from our breathing to our waking up in the morning to our digestion. It directs our thoughts, action, emotion, basic desires. And we need to know where to get the energy supply that is correct for our brain to work. And everything actually has something to do with the things in our body. There is a when I was young, there is words that I always that we always say in school. Mens sana in corpore sano. Inside a healthy body, there is a healthy mind. It's very, very true, because we need to understand that our brain only works if our body is healthy. And what we are going to be doing today is we are going to focus on this nutrition part of these 5 most important things that our children need to grow. Okay, so back to what Luis and Lilian has mentioned earlier, we are going to go to this the SAD diet. What is the SAD diet? It's actually not SAD because it's losing something, but because it's a standard American diet. And this is, for some reason, is being widely accepted as diet even in Asian countries, because this is what our kids want. Okay, so this, like what you were saying just now, there's a lot of processed food in this diet. And there is, if you see here, the usual diet that a lot of people have in their homes, maybe not for the people that is sitting here and listening this morning, but I don't know, right? But this is what our house used to have before.
Sorry, Dr. Deibby.
Yes?
Sorry, Dr. Deibby, there's a black thing blocking your slide.
Oh, okay. Maybe I try again. How about now?
Is it still there? Okay, can you enlarge it? Yeah, it is still there on the right-hand side.
Okay.
Just now it was at the center.
All right. Let me try to see what I can do. I think it's got to do with internet connection. And I cannot do anything from this side.
Okay.
Okay. So if you can see the graph, can you see the graph? Yeah. So the graph actually says that a lot of people use a lot of processed food. And many people does not know that the food that we have, that we think as, okay, this is healthier because it say it's healthier. Like the bread that we have in our dining table. Have you actually have read the ingredients that we have in, even in those like multigrain bread that we think is healthy? So a lot of it are actually processed food. And people with this kind of diet have a lot of higher rates of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, obesity. And this also really influence the work of the brain. Okay, so this is the SAD diet that I was mentioning earlier. And first picture is actually a permutation of this diet. And unfortunately, this is something that many of the children, especially children in the spectrum, love the most. You know, everything with fries, with spaghetti, pasta. These are the easiest food that people give children, and these are the favorite food for the children. And then this is something that this not just a trend in US, this is actually also a trend in everywhere else in the world that is undergoing a lot of financial prosperity. If you see that from 1800 to the year of 2000, the sugar consumption goes high, and it's actually goes up to the even 100% than what is it used to be consumed before. And people this is just an illustration. I don't really believe in evolution, but people are getting more and more obese, and because of the food that we are eating. Okay, what happened in our brain when we are eating this kind of food? Then we are experiencing a bad mood epidemic. It's 100 times more likely to have significant mood problems than people that is born 100 years ago, because our mood is the first casualty of the malnutrition. This is what happened when people are having a rich carbohydrate and less nutrition meals, because before our physical health begins to deteriorate, what happens is that our mood and our thoughts are actually the one that is affected first. And these are some of the pictures that actually we can see from a brain scan, that sugar is as addictive as cocaine. Just like cocaine, sugar intake eventually blunts our dopamine release, and high sugar consumption is linked to a lower IQ, anxiety, aggressive behavior, hyperactivity, depression, learning difficulty, fatigue, dementia, and Alzheimer. Okay, so what about trans fat? We are actually being exposed to a lot of hydrogenated vegetable oil, which is a trans fat. And a lot of people still think that vegetable oil is something healthy. Actually, there is no such thing as vegetable oil. When you see a vegetable oil in the aisle in the supermarket, please do not buy it, because this is a fake fat that raises the risk of the type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, obesity, and inflammation. It's also associated with depression, anxiety, memory problem, irritability, and even aggression. So all are hidden almost in all convenient food and fried food. Okay, so how about grain? Just now, Luis and Lillian mentioned about grain, about gluten. Okay, so what is gluten? Gluten is actually a substance that is inside grain or wheat. So it is inside a pizza, inside noodle, inside our bak chor mee. It's gluten-free. Actually, it is not a new thing. It is a diet that people have consumed for more than 99% of our existence in this planet. And it is actually in Southeast Asia, where we are, gluten, it is not an indigenous diet. It is something that is brought in by Western culture. And the thing is that gluten contains significant amount of glutamate, and oxytocin is a substance that overexcites and kill and damage the brain cell. And in leaky gut, in children with there is a compromise in their gut, what happens is that it will go into the bloodstream and turn into glutamorphine, which is something that is similar to morphine, that can cause more irritability and addiction in children that's eating it. And actually, I have issues with gluten because I have my second son was so addicted with gluten at some point that he went to eat things that is not food to actually get gluten, because he was so addicted with gluten at some point. So this food pyramid that we used to have in the past, when we were learning, when we were in primary school, we were given this as this is the right kind of proportion of food to eat, is actually not quite right. And we need to really think about it very critically on what is correct for us. And last time in the past, we used to be so scared of cholesterol. And now there are so many new studies that showing that cholesterol is actually so important for our brain. So it goes to nutritional neuroscience. Means that there is a nutritional influences on mental and neurological health. Nutrition historically glossed over in medical school and postgraduate mental health programs. While the idea that dietary choices impact health is not a new one, nutritional neuroscience now is in infancy. Now we are talking about, the whole world is talking about a brain hack, is talking about what can we eat to make us smarter. Okay, so now we go back to cholesterol, we go back to our brain. Our brain actually contains 60% of fat, while the whole society has been telling us, please stay away from fat. And people actually consciously remove the oil from their food, while actually we really need this. At our myelin, the substance that coated our nerve is also made of fat. And if we do not have fat, we actually are lacking of things to help our brain. Okay, our human body has two most important omega-3 fats, which is the EPA and the DHA. And without this, the brain doesn't really work. Okay, so as I said before, the omega-3s build all our cell membranes, okay? Along with the help of other fats called phospholipids. They reduce inflammation, which has been linked to autism, ADHD, Alzheimer's, and depression. Actually, there are some studies that shows people with Alzheimer or people with early dementia, when they were given extra virgin coconut oil, they started to gain back their memory. They started to gain back their ability to think. So it is not a fat. It is actually something that is so useful. But for many years, actually, coconut oil had been bashed and had been said that this is very unhealthy. Please stay away from it. I still remember on those days when I was young, my parents actually had coconut farm. And what happened is that we used to cook our own coconut oil. And it was such a wonderful experience because we got to eat all the remaining of the coconut oil. There is at the bottom of the big pan, we actually have this the remnants of the coconut. It's the yummiest thing, and we usually eat it with the rice. And over many years, because of the government, basically the doctors, everyone is in the health in basically promote that this is not healthy. My parents actually stopped that. And then there is no more, we don't make our own coconut oil anymore. So it's actually not true, because they balance blood sugar, which is essential for the healthy brain. They also increase the activity of the key molecule in the brain, which is the BDNF. We are going to talk about BDNF later as well. The brain-derived neurotrophic factors, which stimulates new cell growth and increase cell connections. So what are the sources of omega-3? I think every one of us know, because we always look for this when you go to the supermarket. There's a ready use of this, which is the EPA and the DHA, found primarily in wild fish and game. Best source of this we can find in wild salmon, which is quite hard to find, but yes, it's still available. Sardines, which is very easy to find, anchovies, nasi lemak, ladies and gentlemen, and mackerel, a cruder form of omega-3 fats, which is the ALA found in walnut, flaxseed, chia seed, and hemp seed. I think that a lot of you started using chia seed in your food. Yes, so it is a very, very useful form of omega-3. All right, so what does it got to do with mood? Actually, what happened is that mental and emotional condition actually has a connection of low tissue level of omega-3. So in depression, anxiety, ADHD, autism, bipolar disorder, learning disabilities, postpartum depression, schizophrenia, multiple sclerosis, and seasonal affective disorder. All these things, a lot of them got to do with low level of omega-3 in the cells. And another thing that I want to focus on is the micronutrition, which is the vitamins and minerals. Okay, so it's very critical because a lot of people are missing this. Half of the world population actually do not meet the recommended dietary allowance for important brain vitamins and minerals, including calcium, magnesium, zinc, vitamin A, and vitamin B6. And these are the minimal recommended intakes. Okay, so what are the things that I need to clarify? I do not agree with supplementation of calcium, because calcium supplementation can cause a lot of issues, because our body metabolism actually resulted in a lot of unused calcium in our body that ends up being deposited as calcification. But we're going to talk about it again later. So zinc is very important as well. It's involved in many enzymatic reactions inside of the brain, and it assists with metabolization of vitamin of omega-3s. More than 1/3 of the population of the world is zinc deficient. Okay, so we can find zinc in lean meat, beans, nuts, oatmeal, egg yolks, fresh ginger roots, and pumpkin seeds. I don't really give a lot, many patients actually zinc, because zinc supplementations need to be done in a very careful way, and not everyone needs supplementation in the tablet form for zinc. Okay, so this is what I like very much, which is magnesium. So magnesium is super important for our body, for every healthy person. Every person that is alive needs magnesium. And for the brain, magnesium is very useful for the proper function of the nerve cell and the brain cell. It stimulates brain growth. It helps to control blood sugar. It also is actually, if you do not have magnesium, our cells in the body does not work properly. So I always call it the foundation mineral. Okay, so what happens if the proper magnesium keep the calcium level intracellularly? This is where we want the calcium to be. Okay, but when we are deficient in magnesium, it allows too much calcium into the cell, and then this can cause so many diseases. And I wanted you to take a look at this picture to see how important is magnesium, because without the role of magnesium, and a lot of people actually take it wrongly, they think that we are lacking of magnesium and started to add more calcium. When we add more calcium, and there's going to be more and more imbalance in our system. And then this can cause more problem for the patient. And we have so much more cardiovascular diseases. And actually in our children, this can really get their brain to function in such a way. They will lose sleep, they will not be able to focus, they will not be able to pay attention because of these imbalances. So magnesium for mental health. Is your child getting enough of magnesium? So where does you find magnesium? So magnesium is in kelp, wheat. Okay, wheat is something that I don't really like, but this also contains There's part of it that is good because it contains magnesium. But if you do the check and balance and see which one is the pro and con, I would say no wheat, okay? But oat is fine. Brown rice, nuts, and dark leafy green vegetables. The thing about this that I wanted to share as well, the current dark leafy green vegetables that we count on giving us the magnesium that we need, now is being exposed to our rainfall. And because of the industrialization, our rain actually has a lot of other things like aluminum. The aluminum in our rain actually can displace the magnesium inside that leafy green. So even when we are eating organic food, but if the organic food is still being exposed to natural rain, what happens is that they will also have less magnesium. It's very unfortunate because they are living in a time whereby everything is so not ideal, and we need to figure out a way to survive. So how to actually make sure we have enough magnesium is that I have like so many different types of supplements that I'm working on, and a lot of it is magnesium, because I find that magnesium is super important in our body and brain works. Okay, so there is a very fun fact. Okay, for every molecule of sugar you consume, it takes 54 molecules of magnesium for your body to process it. Yeah, that is how much we need magnesium. And when we are saying about needs, we are not talking about how much is the minimum. We are talking about how much do you need. If you need more, then we need to supply more, right? Okay, so now we are moving to my favorite topic, which is the vitamin C. I love vitamin C so much because it's really a very, very fundamental, another fundamental needs of our body. Unfortunately, humans do not produce our own vitamin C. So we need to take in vitamin C from fruits, from other sources, okay? So there's a study found that 1 gram of vitamin C a day of 1,000 milligram can help people bounce back more easily from a stressful situation. And we are facing a lot of our children, especially those who are in the school systems, either in Malaysia or in Singapore or anywhere else in the world. And especially I know in Singapore, we have a lot of stress for our children. And we need this kind of supplement. We need this kind of vitamin to help our kids bounce back from all these stressful needs that they have daily. Both blood pressure and cortisol level decrease faster in people given vitamin C supplement. Okay, so what is the cortisol? Cortisol is a stress hormone that is being produced in the body under stress. So sources is bell pepper, chili, dark leafy greens, kiwis, broccolis, berries, citrus fruit, tomatoes, peas, and papayas. But I wanted to tell you something. Even though I really love having normal vegetables and fruits in my dining table for my children, I found that this is not enough, because 1,000 milligram a day, it means like it's 40 oranges. Can you eat 40 oranges in a day? So unfortunately, we are living in a more stressful time. I'm not saying that we abandon all these natural sources, but still consume it, because in the natural fruit, you got the fiber, you got the other minerals, other nutrition, other polyphenols that you cannot get from supplements alone. Okay. Vitamin D, my favorite. So ever since I started learning about vitamin D back in 2009, I have been, I would say, a vitamin D evangelist, because I would say to people that vitamin D is the cheapest supplements there is, because you can find it by going to the sun. Yeah, but the thing is that 90% of the population in the world is deficient in vitamin D. And I want to touch on our our subject, which is now everyone is scared of and is haunting us, which is COVID. Why I think that there is such a widespread of vitamin D of COVID is that because our body is lacking vitamin D, because everyone is lacking in vitamin D, and that's the reason why the virus spreads so fast and it's so deadly. Okay, so vitamin D significantly improve our children's brain health. And there are a lot of studies, I will show you later, that a lot of studies shows that vitamin D got to do with inflammation that is being attacked with children with special need, especially with autism spectrum disorder. So vitamin D significantly influence aspects of positive, our attention, our positivity, our enthusiasm, motivation, alertness. And in food, we can find it from cod liver oil. Bless all the mothers that give their children cod liver oil. Including my mom, when I was young, that's what she kept like giving me. Herring, salmon, sardines, shrimp, and egg yolk. And this is the population with vitamin D deficiency per percentage. And you see how many people are deficient. And I don't have Singapore number, and this is something that is so alarming because most people are deficient. Okay, so next thing that I want to talk about vitamin D more and more and more, probably another talk just for vitamin D, but we need to move on. Okay, so we also have something called microbiome. Microbiome is such an important topic because this is our best friend. So when the emperor in the past in China, they call themselves Chen. Yeah, us. Actually, this is quite true because this is us. We are our microbiome. We have 100 trillion microbiome in our body. Then this is actually outnumbering our cells by 10:1 ratio. For each human gene in our body, there are 360 microbial ones. And this is so important because now we are talking about epigenetic, that this microbiome is more influential into our body than the genes that we receive from our parents. That when we are feeding these microbiomes well, when we are caring for these microbiomes well, we can achieve a better health compared to what is being passed to us through our genes. It's super, super important. Many of these organisms, this microbiome, live in our digestive tract. This is where the majority of them lives, but actually they're everywhere, in our eyes, in our skin, in our hair, everywhere in our body have this microbiome. And no system is more sensitive with this microbiome changes in gut bacteria than the central nervous system, which is our brain. So we need to feed our bug. How we do that? We need to start thinking about this beautiful food, which is the pickles, the sauerkraut, the kimchi. I love them all. We in my house, we produce them in our kitchen. And this is very fun things that you can do with your own kids. You can get your kids to start chopping. Have you seen all these Korean shows where the kids and the mom work together to make kimchi? I think it's very fun. This is what I think they can do with our kids. Get our kids to chop it and talk about microbiome, talks about the importance of having all these things in the gut. So this is something that is super important. And now we talk again about oils, because these oils can actually raise our microbiome well. So I usually take 2 spoonfuls of extra virgin coconut oil every day. And I have this extra virgin coconut oil placed on the dining table at any time. So anyone in the house can actually take in the goodness of the extra virgin extra virgin olive oil and extra virgin coconut oil in my house. This is very, 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 very crucial. And while I'm talking about this, I'm going to digress a little bit. I want to talk to you the importance of doing something called oil pulling. Oil pulling is not a nutritional thing because you are putting oil in the mouth in the first thing in the morning and gargle it until for about 20 minutes. And after that, you spit it out. This actually can take out a lot of the bacteria, all the negative, all the bed bugs that lives in our mouth. And this can help you to be very, very healthy. And no one talks about this because this is something that I learned because I touch on Ayurveda, and a lot of people who learn Ayurveda would use this oil pulling technique. Super useful, very cheap, and can help you and your children to be much healthier. Because I heard from Thomas Levy. Dr. Thomas Levy is a very prominent cardiologist in functional health. And so what he says is that he says that there is no one atherome. Atherome is the plaque in our artery that is not inhibited by oral bacteria. So oral bacteria is so prominent that we want to keep all the good ones, our microbiomes, and we do not want to keep all these bad bugs. These bad bugs can be eliminated by simple techniques, and you can talk to me after this because I really love talking about how we can keep our mouth healthy. When we keep our mouth healthy, our mouth and our brain are very, very connected, and we are going to receive so much goodness from keeping our mouth healthy. Okay, so now we are going back to polyphenols, okay? Feeding our bugs with polyphenols. So those who likes coffee, yes, you can get polyphenols from coffee, but please keep it to 1 cup a day. Okay, please not use this to, okay, let's have another one. Okay, for the chocolate, it's good, but please don't take the one with milk and with sugar. Please take the one that is more, it's the darker chocolate, okay? Because this can be very helpful for our gut as well. So we have where to find these polyphenols from our fruit, vegetables, herbs, spices, your cacao, dark chocolate, flaxseed meal, olive oil, from our drinks, coffee, tea, and wine. Okay, so I love to I love to tell my children every day, eat a rainbow. You need to eat as many colors of food as possible, because this provides our body myriads of different kinds of polyphenols that can help us to make sure that we have a good number of good bacteria in our body. And not just that, polyphenols also help with the work of our brain. Okay, so rules of eating. I like this very much, okay? I quoted for this gentleman, Michael Pollan. Eat food, not too much, mostly plants. Okay, don't eat anything your great-grandmother wouldn't recognize as food. Do not eat anything more than 5 ingredients or ingredients you cannot pronounce. So it's regarding the food that you are taking from supermarket. Please read the ingredients. If you do not recognize what is this word, please do not buy them. I know it's difficult because most of the food in the supermarket have something that you do not know. And what you do not know might be something that your body wouldn't want to have. Okay, don't eat anything that wouldn't eventually rot. You know about margarine? I grew up in a family of grocer. My uncle used to have a grocery shop in the market. And whenever I went to visit my uncle, I would because there's in the market, right? There's a lot of flies everywhere. There's one place that the flies does not touch, which is the mountain of margarine. The mountain of margarine will stay in the middle of his shop, and there is not a single bug wants to go there, and there is no refrigeration, but that beautiful mountain of yellow will always be there, and it will never rot. Please do not eat anything that won't eventually rot, because it is not something for your body, okay? And then this is something that I think is also very, very wise. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store. Stay out of the middle of the store, because the middle of the store contains all the snacks. And a lot of times the snacks are very, very not useful for our health. And our children cannot live without snack. My daughter always come home and ask, have you bought me snack today? I say, go and check the fridge and say, only fruits. Yeah, that's your snack. All right, so this is a fun part. Our children is so funny. They have a big capacity for dessert and more for dessert. And they have for pennies and small objects. This for snack, okay? And then this for fruit. Some people is even smaller. And this is for meals. My daughter, the moment she eats the first spoon, she say, "I'm full." I was like, okay, I don't think you're really full. So when actually so I have gone through a lot of attempts to get my kids to actually eat something that is more useful for them. And now, fortunately, she's into eating sauerkraut. So the whole house is eating sauerkraut and kimchi every day. And this is because every day I expose this food for them. Okay, so all these things that I explained earlier is very much for everyone. For every children that needs to grow properly, you need all this nutrition. But what happened with our children who are in the spectrum? What happened if our children comes with some special needs in the brain? So these are the things that I wanted to say, okay? Be critical with what your child eats. What are you feeding your children? You need to read nutrition label. You need to see what kind of diet that impact your child's mood. Okay, so there is what Dr. Hyman said. I think everyone knows Dr. Mark Hyman. The most powerful tool you have to change our brain and your health is your fork. Where the things that you put on your mouth. Okay, so now we are going to talk a little bit on what happened with our children with special need. A lot of this situation happened with our children. They have cognitive issues, they have self-hitting, some of them have behavioral issue, emotional outbursts, sensory issue, repetitive behavior. What happened with these children? Has it got to do with food? Can we help them with food? Okay, so we need to find out firstly, what is the root cause? Okay, so in my experience, I actually found that many of these situations pertaining to the state of our brain. Because our brain is actually like a map, it's an anatomy of its own. We have our hands and our hands can grasp, right? We have feet that walks. Our brain also, every part of it has its own function. And when there is inflammation in the brain, what happens is that this function will get affected. And when it is affected, it will result in all these symptoms. And when we bring down the inflammation in the brain, we can help to reduce the symptoms. These are some studies that shows, yes, there is inflammation in children with ASD, with autism spectrum disorder. So this is in 2005, this 2012. It says that there is activated microglial and astrocytes, pro-inflammatory cytokines that actually cause brain inflammation. And brain inflammation in the long run, it will cause critical brain tissue destruction. So the thing is that we need to also know that aside of that issue, there is also communication issue between our brain. And there is also now shown that if there is a damage in the brain, we can also correlate it with symptoms of autism. This is another study of another case report of traumatic brain injury in autism. I have actually I have a patient, 28-year-old patient, who came to me with symptoms of autism, not understanding people's emotion, not understanding people's thinking. And when I did the test on him, actually what happened is that the whole part of the brain is totally normal except the frontal right. And the mother told me, I asked the mother, did he fall down when he was young? The mother said, yes, when he was around 6 months, he fell from the doctor's, there is a examination table. He fell from the examination table because the mother was looking for diaper. The doctor was taking for the stethoscope and the baby fell down and he hit this head, part of the head. And actually that is a traumatic brain injury. So in this kind of cases, this can cause autism as well. So a lot of actually all this cascading is just telling us that there is a focal brain inflammation that cause the neuron to be affected, that cause learning defects, social defects, language loss, seizures, that actually it goes to what is the label. The label becomes autism. So I would just say autism is just label, but there are a lot of things that really happens. What happens is that when someone is pregnant and they're going through a lot of stress, the stress can be mentally stress, the stress can be physical stress. This can cause the reduction of vitamin D in the body and cause vitamin D deficiencies. And this actually, there are studies that shows that children with lower level of vitamin D is more susceptible to inflammation. And inflammation is the cause of a lot of things that happens in our brain. So first, it's neuroinflammation that happens, and then it causes neuronal damage. And this is something that we also see in the pruning of the brain, because when the brain is undergoing inflammation, the cells that is responsible for pruning of our brain, which is the microglia, is the same cells that are fighting the inflammation. So they cannot do two things in the same time. So our children's brain, what I say, it is not properly pruned. And we can actually bring down the inflammation using different kind of supplements to reduce this inflammation and let the brain being properly pruned. And I would say that when we are reversing inflammation, then we are actually reducing the symptoms of autism in our children. Okay, so this is the neurophysiological assessment that I use to help to find out what is the things that happens in the brain. I find it very useful. I find it you cannot separate it from the management of children with autism, because not just autism, with other brain disorders as well, because if you can find out what really happens with our children, we can have the targeted therapy and nutrition, the right kind of nutrition for them. So for instance, this graph is very useful and it's very unique because it shows how much a normal population talk to their brain, the connection between each part of the brain, and how much an autistic brain actually talks to one another in their brain. So they are not just having lack of communication with people around them, their parts of the brain then really talk to one another. And this is after 6 months of supplementation, this child actually have more connection in the part of the brain compared to how he was before. So we can actually grow connection. We can grow new neurons. We can grow connection because our brain and our body is amazingly created to help us to heal. This is the parts of the body, which is the subgranular zone and the subventricular zone, which is the red part of the brain. And these are the two areas that can produce new neurons. And when we produce the new neurons will come to the areas of the damaged part of the brain, and this can help the brain to recover. And if we can do that, then we can help the brain from baby neurons all the way to the mature neuron. And these are some of the supplementation that was given, which is the fibrocyte growth factor from the time that is started to the time that they produces new neuron in the brain. And the black parts is the baby neuron. This is before and this is after. This is before and this is after. So you see that there's a lot of new neurons coming with the right kind of supplementation. So this is the before and this is the after. Okay, so we can improve neural mechanism of cognition as well through the pursuit of happiness. It's not just, okay, so I'm going to go back to another part of what we need. It's not just the food that we are eating. It's actually, I read a study that shows what kind of mood that you have when you are eating will determine how good the food to your body. So the food will become poison if we are eating when we are angry. And the food will become something good for the body if you are eating it when you are in a happy situation. And again, our health has got to do with our mental, emotional, and spiritual state. So we need to help our children to achieve happiness in order for them to be able to make use of the food that they're eating, to make use of the body that they're having, to actually make use of the brain. So these are the 5 modifiable life factors that I always promote. So they need to have good sleep and relaxation. They need to have exercise and movement. Then the one that we're talking about today about nutrition, and they also need to have enough water. You need to have enough hydration. Then the stress and resilience and relationship and networks. Okay,
What if I
can you see this video? I want to show you this video about happiness, okay? Oh, sorry.
What if I tell you you're not so different with an autistic person? Do you recall tapping your feet while waiting? Twirling your hair? Rolling your pen while thinking? That's what autistic individuals do. It's called stimming. Like you, they are doing it because their body needs to do it. To handle the weight, the stress, that overwhelming situation. As it's normal for you, it's normal for them. And they need it more, so they do it more. And they can't conceal it as well as you do. So they do it in the train, in the mall, and other public places. In bigger movement, in louder movement. Do you like it when someone mirrors you when you are hanging out? Some autistic individuals would like it if you mirror the steam and find the joy in doing so. When you do that, you might hit the jackpot. A meaningful eye contact and perhaps a smile.
I like this video a lot. Okay, so what happened is that when we are creating happiness in our children's situation, we are able to give them the right environment for this food to be digested, for this nutrition to be absorbed. Many times our autistic kids are being told to stop flapping, or quiet hand, quiet feet, and they are being told to stop doing the steaming. Well, actually, when we are helping them by joining them, they are going to be much happier. And that's why I put this video in our talk today, because I wanted to show you actually that our children needs to raise their happiness level to improve the outcome of their situation. And so this is the virtuous cycle: strengthening immune system, gut repair, emotional well-being, and then we have the brain repair for our children with special needs. So love grows brain. And I just, before we end, I just want to share you my own journey. Maybe some of you have seen this video, but I just want to play.
Doesn't work. You need doesn't work. You need understanding and patience. Doesn't work. You need understanding and patience.
The right kind of attitude can help
Parents change, children will change. They might have a lot of fear, embarrassment, or anxiety. With the change of mindset, parents can motivate their children to want to be better. When parents change, children will change. That's how we can help our children to regain their awareness, to give them their speech, to connect them with their loved ones and the world around them. Now my kids are recovering. Now my second son knows who we are. He has memory and he can study. He is able to go places and he is connected. My eldest child is now completely normal.
That's not normal.
He would say, bye-bye, autism. Whether they have autism or not, every child has the potential to achieve great things, and they have the right to try. The healing process is not short. It might be long and tedious, but it is rewarding and it is meaningful.
Yeah, so this is what I wanted to share with you, that I hope that this can help those who has children with a special need, or children that is struggling in school, or anyone who needs the right nutrition to grow and basically gets better in day-to-day situation. So thank you so much. I'm handing it back to you, Maddie.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deibby. That was amazing. Dr. Deibby, that was your eldest son, right? Emmanuel?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's
so I
now
wanted to share a little bit, okay?
15
So,
years.
yes, now he's 15. And okay, so I did all that I have for these children's brain, for in terms of nutrition, in terms of getting the brain to work properly. The thing is that at one point, I think they need the right kind of stimulus. So God is so good, and then He let me to meet Maddie, and then after that, I got to enroll my children in Neurological. And according to Emmanuel, actually, he says that he has less careless mistakes in his work, and also my other two children, they are taking Neurological, and especially my youngest one, Isaac, he is now less jumpy. He is like more focused. He has more confidence in himself. So I think that we all need to see what are the resources that we have around us to help our children to have an optimal state of function, because we want them to be confident, we want them to be happy. When they're happy, and there's a lot of the situation in their health actually will improve. Yes. So yeah.
Wow. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much, Dr.
much.
Deibby. Yeah, it was a joy, even to see, how your children are flourishing, and it's just so amazing. Thank you so much for teaching us, Dr. Deibby. So one of the 3 things that I learned about today's sharing was that number 1, our mood is affected by what we eat.
Yes.
And 40% of how we feel right now is related to our last meal. Yeah, and that, the food that will become poison to us when we eat it angry,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's important to help our children be happy even as they're eating, because our health comprises holistically of mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Yeah, number 2, good fats are important. So our brains need fat because the myelin in our brain is coated by fat. So you were mentioning extra virgin olive oil, extra virgin coconut oil. These are important for
Fish oil.
and fish oil
Yeah.
helps promote cell growth and increase cell connection, right? And number 3 is that proper supplements can help us to grow new neuron connections in the brain. Yeah, so like calcium supplementation can actually cause unused calcium to calcify in our bodies, but the foundation minerals like vitamin C and magnesium are very important. Yeah, so yes, now for the Q&A segment. If you have any questions, please feel free to type it into the chat box below. Some parents have already said that, oh, we have some questions, can we ask now? Okay, so very good. Cassandra says, Dr. Deibby, how can too much vegetables or fiber be harmful for someone experiencing constipation, bloating, and flatulence?
There is no such thing as too much vegetable, but I think that how much vegetable are you talking about?
Okay, maybe let's see how much vegetables. Okay, so no such thing as
we want to have vegetable into the diet because the fiber can help to help the constipation. But if you are lacking in magnesium, the motility of the gut is less. So that's the reason why magnesium is so important. It also helps us to move the bowel.
Okay. So from Phoebe, she asked Dr. Deibby, what is your take on the GFCF diet together with supplements?
Yeah, definitely. I love it. Okay, so I generally like it because casein and gluten, they are main culprit in the inflammation. I mentioned it in my earlier talk, so I didn't really mention it now. So I have seen actually that just by reducing these two things and sugar, the child can actually regain some function without even supplementation.
So for those
Especially
of us who
children,
don't know, right, Dr.
especially,
Deibby,
yeah, so
what is
actually there are 60
GFCF?
gluten-free, casein-free, basically
Oh,
free of wheat and free of milk and dairy products. So all these actually can cause inflammation. There are a lot of misconception in our diet, and especially we grow up with, there are very good organizations that used to feed milk in the schools. And I used to, wow, so nice, so good, right? But we didn't actually realize that it caused a lot of low-grade inflammation in our body. And those children with leaky gut, it's even worse because it can really cause a lot of issues in the brain. Those children, like what I said, the one that 28-year-old with the brain trauma, for him, the usefulness of GFCF diet is less compared to those children who are purely because of inflammation. So that's why we need to, it will be very good to have the assessment, but if you do not have the assessment, we can actually, there's some things that we can try in our day situation. If you are feeling that, oh, this diet doesn't seem to work very well, you can contact me and we can discuss on what are the possibilities.
Yeah. So also from Louis, which kind of fish oil supplement is good for kids who are between 3 to 7 years old?
Sorry, the question is?
What kind of fish oil supplement is good for children, preschool children?
Preschool children, what they need? Oh, they need a lot. They need vitamin D, they need vitamin C, they need the magnesium. These are the three things that's most important.
So cod liver oil?
Cod liver oil is good.
Yeah, so this is a good fish oil supplement?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's good.
Then another thing I would like to add that I have not put it there. Please make sure that you always have soup in day-to-day things in your dining table. Bone broth soup, vegetable soup. These are very, very easy and very accessible source of nutrition for your child's day-to-day needs.
Okay. So what are the supplements that can help reduce inflammation of the brain?
Okay, there are many types of supplements and different kids have different situation. So like what I said before, we can have curcumin to bring down inflammation. We can have from food, yeah. We can have things like fucoidan. We can have things like EGCG or epigallocatechin gala that we can find in the green tea. Polyphenols are very good for bringing down nutrition. There's naringin that can be found. I know that it sounds weird, and the bark and in the skin of mango.
Oh.
Yes. There's a lot of now what I use in my practice. I use a lot of vitamin D binding protein. I use a lot of something that is called AIC, but all these things need to be prescribed. So you need to go to your healthcare provider to get it.
So for the gluten-free, casein-free diet, right? Do you have to be very strict about it, or just, you know?
If you want to try it, you need to be very, very strict about it, because every time it leaks, every time, especially in children. Okay, so what's leaky gut? Leaky gut is basically says that our body, especially our gut, is made of very, very tight junction, whereby it will have very good filter on things that should not go into the body and things that can go inside the body. In children with a lot of inflammation, this tight junction become loose. And then things that should not go in can go in, and things that should go in actually just escape. And in this kind of scenario, the child have malnutrition, the child not getting enough. And the thing is that things that like the casein and the gluten, it freely goes inside the bloodstream and can cause a lot of inflammation. So if you are doing it, but you're not doing it diligently, your child will still have the symptoms, right? And then you come back and say that it doesn't work. So if you want to do something, make sure that you have a proper plan on how you are doing it. And during those days in the beginning, when I first started my GFCF journey, I was a bit porous, like because the father still wants his baguette. There's people like my mom. How come you are not giving your child sweet? Then they're giving the kids like chocolate. I was like, oh, please don't do that. Yeah. So grandparents are quite often the culprit because they always feel that the kids not happy enough. They need to have more chocolate. So we need to really help to have the whole family in the same diet, because if it's not the whole family, then there's always some gluten and casein in the pantry. If you have it in the pantry, then what stops our kids from accessing it? It's accessible, it's there, you know?
Okay. So Dr. Deibby, also one more question on omega-3 oils, right? And olive oil. What is the recommended dosage to see effective results?
It really depends on the need of a person. Again, it's about the need, okay? So generally speaking, it's about 1 to 2 spoonfuls a day. If it's a children, then it's 1 spoon 2 times a day. If it's a child, if it's an adult, maybe 2 spoonfuls 2 times a day. You know, this kind of it's really rough measuring, because and also I wanted to touch this a little bit. Most of the olive oil, especially extra virgin olive oil in the market, is fake. So you need to find, yes, if you go to Google, I don't really like doing this, but please go to Dr. Google and go and Google olive oil fake or olive oil mafia. And then you'll find a lot of articles about how to find good olive oil.
Okay. So
anyone in Singapore, I can share you my source of olive oil, so you can contact me.
Okay.
I got my olive oil directly from Italy.
Oh, wow, really?
Well, I have a friend who has a farm in Italy, and she actually sending it. Yes, I see you, Luis. I will pass it to you.
Okay, good. So Yining is asking, have you treated any child with PANS or PANDAS symptom? PANDAS.
Okay. Yes, I do. Yes, but it's every child is different. So I would rather this to be consulted with me personally. Yeah, so it will be, I would be very happy to help.
Okay. And what if your child is a picky eater and he never eats vegetables, like the picture you show, the stomach, but then the vegetable portion is only 1 pea size?
Yeah.
So what supplements to take?
Yeah, so what happened is that our kids can be quite picky, and especially those with in the spectrum is even pickier, because they have issues with the parietal region of the brain, where it's where they're very specific about texture, about sensation, right? Even a child who is not in the spectrum can also be very picky. What we do is that we keep having all this food that is healthy in our dining table, still have it in their plate, okay, on their plate, even though they say, I do not want. I say, yes, it's going to be on your plate. And I think that is very nice. If it's possible, always have the meal as a family. And the adult, you need to have like agreement in advance to praise on certain food. So you talk amongst yourself, don't talk to her or him. You can talk amongst yourself. Wow, I really like this veggie, super good. Wow, is this delicious? How crunchy it is. Oh, it's so wonderful. Yeah, this is good for your brain. It's good for, yeah. So when we talk about it on the dining table and we praise it and we are happy with it, over time, the child will be less and less judgmental toward the fruits and vegetables.
So I'm assuming that the adult brains will benefit to the same extent.
Yes, of course. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Actually, this talk applicable for everyone from a child after they got weaned off mother's milk to someone in 99 years old or even more. Yes, it's applicable.
So also somebody is asking about the probiotics.
Okay, so
that we
I
can
don't
take.
really jump into probiotics as much as I wanted to have, I would say, a shortcut by introducing a new colony inside the gut. But I always try to be for myself, yeah, and this is probably different from what you have heard before, but I wish that we can be gentler to our gut. First, introduce fruits, vegetables, the pickled food, the polyphenols firstly. Second, I usually give like magnesium, and the tetrahydrite is a mineral that can help to create a good environment in the gut. So this actually is helping in the long run. And many times what happens is that in some children with more sensitivity, if we introduce new colony too fast, it can cause more irritability for these children.
Okay, so you're saying that the kind of manufactured probiotics might not be as good as the natural probiotics from the sauerkraut.
I'm not saying that they are less good. They can be very, very, very good. And I know there's some very good producer of probiotics. It's again what the body needs.
Okay.
They can be super good. I don't doubt on how good they are. It's just that we need to investigate the body first. How we can do that is by gently introducing them on these natural resources. And when you see that, okay, if there is a need, you can introduce your probiotic, and you need to watch your child. How does the reaction after you give the probiotic? Okay, so over time, after you are, but I don't usually, if someone comes to me, maybe some of you here have seen me in my practice, you probably have seen what I recommend. I don't usually have probiotic in my prescription, because I find that it is for the long run, they need to be able to sustain their own microbiome.
Okay, so there's a question here. A child who was born premature is now 5 years old. The complaint is that he cannot focus and concentrate on his studies.
Yeah.
He gets complaints from his teachers and can't sit still in class.
Yeah, so a lot of things can happen, especially in premature babies. If you can come and see me, then come and see me. If you cannot, then I just want to say that there can be an issue with the neurodevelopmental, means that the growth of the neurons in the brain. In some children, they might have lack of numbers of neurons that is working. They can be because of the prematurity. So there's a lot of scenario, okay? They can be because of prematurity, they have very susceptible gut, because the liver is in premature babies is not working very well, and this can actually lower down the immunity in the body. And because immunity goes down, even a little bit of inflammation can cause something in the gut, and the gut can actually be inflamed, and then can bring down the inflammation in the brain, so can bring up the inflammation in the brain. And in these purposes, what I do if someone cannot come and see me is to try to bring down the inflammation through the food, through the diet, through the supplements. And if the inflammation does reduce, then you will see it from the daily clinical manifestation, like how it's in the classroom. And there's another thing too. Children are interested in things that they like. In some situations, the classroom can be super boring and can be very, very uninteresting for some children. And we need to investigate properly what is the cause. Does my child needs proper, maybe one-to-one approach, or maybe what really happens? So I would say that we need to be to investigate thoroughly. Is it something to do with the environment? Is it something to do with the food? Is it something to do with what's really happening in the brain?
Okay. So maybe one of the last few questions, right? Because you were mentioning about magnesium also, one of the questions is what type of magnesium is good for
Okay, so the
yeah.
magnesium has a lot of forms: magnesium taurate, magnesium glycinate, magnesium citrate, or so many types of magnesium. I generally use magnesium glycinate. Sometimes I use magnesium citrate. There are different uses of these magnesiums. So if you are starting to do that, you probably want to start with citrate or glycinate. They are generally is like for all things. But if you have more specific things, maybe you can message me directly and I can give you the answer.
Okay. So another question is that would you recommend children to eat gummies that contain DHA because they are ingredients stated in the package, but they don't know what they are because there are too many chemical terms?
So I'd say that try to, when you see the ingredients and you see all these chemicals you don't know, I would say that maybe it's something that your body wouldn't want. So fine, because there's a lot of types of cod liver oil or DHA or EPA out there. You might want to get something that is has less of these additives, and they're not taste bad. You know, even those that like the oil form of it is actually, for some children they don't really like, but over time it's becoming okay. I know that it's like that, but pro and con, we are not forcing our kids, like, but we are just we can, good thing about oil, you can mask it, you can put it in smoothies, you know, you can put it in different things. So try to make it more palatable for the children.
Okay. So one parent also asked what all is good for cooking, like frying eggs and frying vegetables.
Okay, this is a perennial question. It's a very, very good question because most of our kids like fried things more than anything else. Try to find oil that has high smoke property. So it's less likely. Of course, every fried food will have its own ROAs or free radicals, but we can have less of that. I would say it's a pro and con about this, okay? But what I'm using now in my house, we use rice bran oil.
Rice bran oil.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. To cook food, okay.
Yeah.
So one question here is that, is calcium, magnesium, and zinc good for removing heavy metals?
Okay. Calcium,
magnesium, and zinc.
Calcium is actually very bad for the body. Our body needs calcium, but I do not recommend giving calcium supplementation. Magnesium can somewhat help in the removal of the heavy metal. I don't generally speak about removing heavy metal because I know that there are a lot of study of thoughts about removal of heavy metal. But actually, if all of us, all the adults do our tests, people who live in big, even small cities have different kind of heavy metals. Even either we live in New York, Jakarta, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, or everywhere else, we have different kind of heavy metals because of the environment that we are having. I have gone through a lot of experience myself about removing heavy metals for my kids, and my kids actually got sicker because of the attempts to remove heavy metal. So it needs to be done very, very gently and carefully. And in my experiences, I find that just make the child so healthy that they are able to do what's needed for their own body without us adding on with medication to remove the heavy metal. Because in many cases, what happens is that once the heavy metal is being captured, it will be carried in the body and it will be removed using detoxification system. But most of the time, our children's detoxification system is not good enough. So it actually returns to the circulation and got redeposited. When the redeposition happens, then you are getting a new slot of inflammation, which is worse than when the heavy metal was tiam inside the cell.
Okay, so somebody also asked, how about Sacha itchy oil?
Yes, please do. This is
Yeah.
also another good oil.
Okay, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, so
I don't really write down every single of oil availables, but yeah, please be open-minded, and there's a lot of other types of food that actually can fit in those nutrition that I mentioned earlier.
Okay, so is it safe to consume zinc supplements over extended periods of time?
No, because we need to check the level of our copper in the body. We need to have achieved a balanced level of copper and magnesium. If it's one gets too much, like if there's too much zinc in the body, it also can cause fungal infection or fungal overgrowth.
Okay, so one last question, Dr. Debbie, if there are only 5 types of foods that you can have or you always have in your house, what are they?
Only 5?
Yeah.
You can't have only 5. The thing is that
5, maybe if you have 5, let's say most important.
we need to complement the food. And actually now I try to put in 5 different colors of vegetables in my food every day in my house. And I think that it is not possible to narrow it down, because our myriad cells in the body, we have so many types of cells in the body, and every type of cells in the body requires different things. And if we just narrow it down to 5, it will be very, very difficult. But I would say that let's say if I have, generally speaking, someone very sick come to me, the first thing I would give is vitamin C. Then after that, I will try to reduce the calcification that happens in the body. I'll try to reduce inflammation. Vitamin D is very important. I would, magnesium is basically, as I said, is a foundation of all cells to function well, to regulate the functions of the cell. But magnesium cannot work if there is no calcium. But how to get calcium? Of course, not through supplementation. It's through your bone broth. It's through your food. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say. Like you are asking me, who amongst these people that we can choose? It's very hard because everyone is important. Everyone has their have their strengths, and everyone is very interesting. It's very important. It's not possible to just narrow it down to 5. Actually, that is what we are trying to do. We try to diversify our food.
Okay.
The diversification of the food actually is another key to have a good diet, because you are getting your nutrition from different angles. Because, like, for instance, if we just eat cabbage the whole time and we are not getting the different kinds of vegetables, is also not very good. We want to have variety, because the variety brings different kind of polyphenols into our body. And this can be not just for the brain, it can be anti-cancer, it can be anti-diabetes. And there are so many new studies now. There are younger and younger diabetic cases, younger and younger people that has heart problems, have stroke, have myocarditis because of imbalanced diet.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Debbie. It's already past 12. So parents, if you have not been able to ask your questions, or if you're keen to find out more about BrainWorks, a health center that Dr. Debbie founded to help parents and children learn about autism, you can click on this link, this QR code, and direct your queries to Dr. Debbie. BrainWorks provide neurophysiological testing, comprehensive examinations, and support to kids who need it. So this is also Dr. Debbie's social media account. Yeah, so you can reach out to her on Instagram at Dr. Deibby or on Facebook at BrainWorks Singapore. Yeah, so for those who want to find out also about where to get the olive oil, yeah, you can also put it in this QR code, and then we will get the contact from Dr. Deibby, and then we will send it to you. So Dr. Deibby, your friend actually has an olive farm in Italy.
Yes.
And
So
then
she's
they
an
what?
Italian.
They Amazon Prime it to you or what? Or they just send
No,
by...
because she lives in Singapore.
Oh, huh? She lives in Singapore, but she has a
She
farm.
has her family has farm
Oh,
in
I
Italy. So
see.
whenever I tasted, I was like, I feel so I don't feel like I feel so healthy because I got it directly from the farm.
Okay, so if Regina can move to the next slide, you just tell us, Google, send your questions to the Google link here, and then we will send you Dr. Deibby's secret address to get extra virgin olive oil. I was very shocked. I didn't know that it can be fake.
Yeah, there are a lot of them is fake because the thing is that olive oil is so precious. And so there are a lot of people who send different kind of oils and mix it with olive oil and put olive oil flavoring into it, and they pack it in Italy so they can call it olive oil, extra virgin olive oil made in Italy.
But it's not olive oil at all.
Okay, so I will give you some tips. Olive oil that generally comes from Chile, from Australia, from New Zealand, they are pretty much okay.
Okay.
Yeah, some olive oils from US is also okay, but you need to go and Google about how likely they are real. Yeah, so there are so many ways that we can find. Actually, our taste bud can also tell. Usually, because it's a real olive oil, you can find the peppery, nutty, fruity taste. That is not possible to be replicated. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, if it's not extra virgin, if it's just olive oil, most likely it's fake.
Okay, so just make sure you get extra virgin olive oil from Australia, New Zealand, Chile.
Yeah. Okay, so I also like coconut oil for processing because it's very healthy. But the thing is that it always have the taste of coconut.
Yeah.
So some of the kids, they not very
don't like
thrilled with the coconutty taste in the food when we use the coconut oil. So that's the reason why I use different kinds. But it's actually healthy. It's very, very healthy.
Okay, good. All right. So parents, if you have any more questions, do reach out to us so that our consultants can also assist you with your queries, right? Okay. So let's see. So once again, I'm Maddie. Thank you for joining us today.
Mandy, for Malaysia, let them go to Juni, contact Juni. Yeah.
Correct. So for if you're from Malaysia and you're invited by Juni, so you can actually click on the same Google link, and we will get in touch with you. Okay. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you next time. We hope that Dr. Deibby can share with us more on the leaky gut and on vitamin D. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Thank you, Doctor.
You're most welcome, Dr. Eng. Thank you so much for having me here. It's my delight to share what I'm passionate about to so many people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Dr. Deibby.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Regina. Thank you, Junie. Thank you so much, Maddie. You are the best. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Deibby. Okay, everyone, take care. We will also, if you want to have the link to this talk, do tell us, and we will send you the link on YouTube.
Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Shavitra.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Dr. Deibby.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Okay.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Awesome weekend.
An awesome weekend for everyone. Bye.